Hello, hello. What a time to be a Blue. Manchester City finally win at Anfield. The last time with fans, I was 1 year old, not including the COVID season, obviously. Unbelievable. I don't think any of us were expecting that going into the game. So here are 5 things we learned on the back of that victory. But boy, oh boy, we've probably learned 10, 15, 20 things, but we're going to cram it down into 5. So let's just jump into it. Now, starting off, I've got to say, my last video, it was literally about Manchester City signing Marc Guehi, and I was in favour of us going for Nico Schlotterbeck. Well, now I'm going to eat my words. I think Marc Guehi has been unbelievable. So the first thing we've learned is Marc Guehi, I've learned, he is a proper defender. We all knew how good he was, but I didn't know how good he was. I didn't know he was that elite guy who's just come in and had arguably a perfect performance against Liverpool. He was being booed throughout that Anfield atmosphere. They were right on his back. And it didn't seem to faze him one bit, and he put in some unbelievable tackles, blocking when need be, and he was just wherever City needed him, he was just there. He was, sometimes coming up higher up the pitch, covering wide areas when our fullbacks jumped up. He was just brilliant. And seeing the scenes at the end, obviously the City players all enjoying it with the away end and everything, and you could just see the smile on Marc Guehi's face. All of his interviews, he just seems such a great character and, hungry to learn as well. This is a guy who's one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. That I never doubted in my last video. He definitely is, but, he's coming into the prime years of his career, and there's no doubt that, he's only going to get better at Manchester City. But I think thus far, he's passing with flying colours. And, yesterday was just probably his best in a City shirt. Yeah, I think he was a shining star in that disappointing draw to Tottenham. I think he was decent in that game, but yeah, went up another level yesterday, just commanded the area. And obviously Kusanov goes off with that concussion injury, which was disappointing. He was having a fantastic game up to that point, but you see Ruben Dias come on. I think going forward, that is going to be our centre-back partnership now till the end of the season. And you're looking at them two on paper, they're absolute warriors. Kusanov, fantastic defender in his own right. Gvardiol, obviously out injured for the rest of the season. We're hearing John Stones back in training. Don't get too carried away though, guys, because we've heard that. How many times have we heard that? But I wish John Stones all the best. Obviously, want to see him playing, but I think that's going to be the partnership going forward. And, we've got 13 games remaining now in the Premier League season, 13 finals. Obviously, got the Carabao Cup final. We've got Champions League games. We've got FA Cup games. But I think, especially those Premier League games, I think that's going to be the foundation of whatever we succeed. Well, whatever we get now to the end of the season, I think that they're going to play a huge role. Next up, another City player. It's Bernardo Silva. Bernardo the Great, I'm going to call from now on in. He has been unbelievable, so underrated this season for Manchester City. And, that obviously Pep did his press conference earlier last week, and he said how Bernardo's got a bit of a knock and he was a doubt for Liverpool and they were going to assess him just the day before. And yeah, that made me extremely nervous. We all know that he doesn't like Liverpool. That infamous coffee cup gate, if you will, when we had to give them a applause of honour. When they're coming out. When we had to give them that guard of honour at the Etihad back in, was it 2020? And he just stood there drinking his coffee, didn't even flinch. Absolutely love it from Bernardo. But his on the pitch stuff this season's been brilliant. He's got the armband. And he's been playing like a true leader. At times he's been dropping in deep when our defence has been struggling. He's smelt, the young players, they need his support, and he's been there. And, and even in the forward areas, I think in the last few games, he's really come on, almost looked like Bernardo of old, of 2018 onwards. And, it's just been brilliant to see. But, yeah, as soon as I saw him in that starting 11, I had a real comfort blanket feeling. When I saw him, I thought, okay, at the very least, we're not going to have a stinker. Bernardo's there. And he was absolutely everywhere yesterday and deservedly got his goal. That was the least he deserved, I think, in that game. And, he timed his run brilliantly. Obviously, could see Szoboszlai playing him on, and he made that run, poked it in. And like a true captain, he didn't celebrate, really. He went straight for the ball, grabbed out of the net, under his arm, and ran back, rallying his teammates back to the centre spot, because he could tell there was something in that, and that City had to win that game. And he played an enormous role, and he's played an enormous role this season. But I think what I would say is that I can't see a world. Well, I can see a world in which Bernardo Silva leaves in the summer. His contract expires, but I don't want that to be the case. I want City to give him an extension, whether it's 1 year, 2 year. I think he's going to be a huge part. Well, he's been a huge part this season, but I think this squad has had so much change, so many young players, and I think the more experienced heads that we can have in amongst that, I think is only going to help us. And ultimately, his performances have been mint. So yeah, Bernardo the Great, stay one more year, please. Next up, I want to talk about our goalkeeper, Gianluigi Donnarumma. Now, I want to talk about that specific moment, that save. I know you're thinking about it. You've got it in your head already as soon as I said his name. Now, I think that moment, we could come May, say City go on to win the title, which obviously we're not favourites at the moment, but things have shifted, no doubt, since yesterday. That save we could look back at being as crucial to City in this season as the John Stones clearance was against Liverpool back in 2019. We all know how big that moment was, of course. I think it was Mane or Salah managed to stumble past Ederson after not clearing it properly. I think it was actually John Stones. He cleared it on Ederson, bounced off, and then he made that unbelievably timed clearance off the line. And of course, then we went on a fabulous run and, of course, beat Liverpool marginally to the title. I think that Donnarumma save could be just as big. Of course, remember that part of the game, we were 2-1 up. Liverpool were throwing everyone forward in stoppage time. Alisson, obviously, was up. And then Cherky obviously capitalised. And then that farce happened with Szoboszlai getting the red and then choking off the goal. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Gianluigi Donnarumma's save. And it was just excellent. And it's a match-winning save. I love Ederson. I am one of Ederson's biggest fans ever. And I don't think we would have achieved what we've achieved in the last decade without Ederson. I don't think he makes that save. I think that is exactly why we brought in Gianluigi Donnarumma. Them small margins, those big moments, like Haaland, the other end of the pitch. We were Premier League champions when we brought in Erling Haaland, but we needed that extra little something to get us over the line in Europe. Now, last season, we were obviously awful by our standards. We needed to have that extra edge. And Gianluigi Donnarumma, he is bringing that in abundance. Don't get me wrong, I think with his feet, he's getting better. There are moments where I am concerned. I am begging for Ederson. Even in my opinion, James Trafford's better with his feet when he's played. I think he's been excellent. Obviously, unfairly given the number 1 shirt, and then Donnarumma comes through the door, but that's a different story. But I think Gianluigi Donnarumma's save could be season defining, could be a historical moment for Manchester City. So touch wood, fingers crossed. It is. Fourth thing we learned from yesterday's win was suddenly Manchester City, we've got depth. We've got decent depth. It was only about a month ago that we were scrounging around the academy looking for lads to play on the bench. We were recalling Max Elaine from Watford. Now you had Ruben Diaz on the bench yesterday. You had Phil Foden, who wasn't even used. Nico Gonzalez, who wasn't even used. Obviously missing Jeremy Doku, but you've got so much better depth there. Kusanov got injured. Ruben Diaz comes on. Mateus Nunes, if he wasn't okay, maybe Kusanov could have gone right back. Left back, Ait Nouri now back from AFCON, playing brilliantly. I would argue yesterday was one of his best performances in a City shirt going forward and defensively. Should have scored, but hey, it's steps in the right direction. We've got Nico O'Reilly now playing in midfield. He's moved back into a more natural position for him, but he's moved away from that makeshift left back area. Ait Nouri gets injured. O'Reilly drops in there. We've got Nathan Ake as well, who, of course, came on at the end of the game to help us shut up shop, if you will. There's great depth across the board. Don't get me wrong, I would rather a world where we've got, Gvardiol and Doku still in the squad. But, hey, I think it's a lot better than it has been. And, like I mentioned earlier in the video, even John Stones, whether he's match fit or what, John Stones is back in training, which is another body at least. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely massive. Like I say, we're going into the running now. We've got cup finals, we've got Champions League knockout rounds to go through. I think it's massive. I think it's absolutely massive. You could argue that maybe everyone's getting fit at the right time. Maybe things are starting to slot into place. City haven't been perfect this season. They haven't. And we're going to need a lot to go for us to get over the line. Should Arsenal drop a few points? Should we beat them at the Etihad? Should we go on a run, which, of course, we've been so inconsistent this season, so that's not very likely, but we're going to need as many bodies as possible. And at the moment, it looks like they're slowly but surely coming back. The squad's getting bigger, the squad's getting deeper, and obviously post-January with Guehi and Semenyo coming in, the quality has gone up so much more in 2 crucial positions of the pitch. So, yeah, feeling good about the squad size. And my 5th and final point that I learned after yesterday, I think after the Spurs game, rightfully, a lot of City fans were being realistic, going, It's not looking very likely now, don't be wrong. I mentioned before, we've not been convincing this season, but we've still been within touching distance of Arsenal. It's the hope that kills you in football. That's why we all love it. That's why we all hate it at times as well. But, there's no doubt 6 points gap now. We've won at Anfield, which is an enormous confidence boost. That's the thing that the best City teams in history, the treble winning team, the 100 points winning team, they that's something they could never do. They were much better teams, much better squads than what we've got right now. But we've just won at Anfield. That was absolutely massive. Not just won at Anfield, but we've come from behind at Anfield with 10 minutes of normal time on the clock. That is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And I think that could be a real propeller for what's to come for the rest of the season. That could really push City on and give this relatively young and inexperienced squad, the exact boost they need to push on. And yeah, so ultimately, City can win the league. It doesn't matter what people tell you. We're 6 points off Arsenal, and Arsenal are going to be looking at that yesterday and thinking, "Oh, okay, they're here. They've arrived now." And that's how I feel. I mean, it could all come crashing down after Fulham on Wednesday. But ultimately, I'm feeling good right now. The players must be feeling good. Pep must be feeling good. He's got to be looking around that dressing room and seeing some really confident players now after that performance. So yeah, fifth thing I've learned, we're well in it. We're well in for a shout. I wouldn't have said that to you a couple of weeks ago, but hey, here we are. Man City in the title race. Are they going to do it? Let us know in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please share this. I'm going to try and be a bit more regular with the YouTube videos. It's not easy with life, but as you can tell, nice little setup now. I'm going to try and keep it a bit more of a regular thing. But yeah, hopefully speak to you soon. Hopefully next time I record one of these, we've beaten Fulham and we're getting a few wins together, putting a bit of pressure on Arsenal. Hey, and maybe Brentford do us a job this week as well. I wouldn't mind that at all.